Okay, welcome everybody to another Facebook Live. Carpe diem sayings. We got to carpe diem something. I feel like I'm being so redundant now by starting every one of these with that, but it's I need to make a decision, settle on it. So we need to put this everybody vote on what we're going to call these things, and then we'll run with that. Bear with me for I share this onto a couple of my Facebook pages. And then it was, really cool. It was brought to my attention that you can, if you'd like to, rather than sharing this directly to your page, what you can do is you can, there's something on here where it gives you an option to invite your friends to a watch party. And apparently you can just click on the invite your friends to a watch party. And then what will happen is it will broadcast out, or your friends will get notified that your friends on your friend list on Facebook will get notified that you are watching a Facebook Live with me, and they will be given the options to join in as well. So if you want to do that, and I don't know where exactly that button is on your particular setup, but if you look for an option that says, and rather than just sharing this directly, but if you look for an option that says invite your friends to a watch party, you should be able to do that, and then everybody will be able to join in and have fun with us. And as you can see from the title for today, we're going to be talking about something that is very, very near and dear to my heart. A little unknown fact about me, or maybe it's known, but I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, and so I'm going to call on Buffy today to help with today's message. So real quick, let's see who was on here. Riddell, good to see you on here. Good morning. It's good afternoon here. Lisa, hey Lisa, how you doing? Yeah, that's what they are, is they're watch parties. So you can definitely click on that, and it should allow other people to jump on. And then this one is not showing, but I see Linda's on here. Hey Linda, good to see you on here. And we got Instagram going now too. Okay. Well, let's dive into today. I was in Las Vegas last week, and I actually really enjoy Las Vegas. I love that there's a opportunity to walk around so much. I always make it a point to do a lot of walking while I'm there. And then what I'll do also with that is the more I feel like I walk, the more I feel like I can enjoy buffets. I can do all those types of things, and it gives me a positive calorie balance. But anyways, that's really beside the point. One night while I was walking through one of the casinos in Las Vegas, I spied a slot machine that bore the Buffy the Vampire Slayer name and some images from the TV show. Now, has anybody on here ever seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Is anybody on here a Buffy fan? First of all, let me know where my Buffy fans are. And I'm a huge Buffy fan, and while the show's been over for quite some time, it was such a wonderful show to watch growing up, and it really, I feel like in many ways it was my go-to show in my youth, and it's still something that I'll think of fondly. And there was just so many great moments I had watching that show. It was wonderfully written, and it was such a fun show with so much heart to it too. And to this day, I'll defend Buffy. I'll defend Buffy tooth and nail, and for what a great show it is. But anyways, so I have a lot of love for Buffy in my heart, and I saw a slot machine with Buffy's namesake on it, and it was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer slot machine. So naturally, I had to go over and play it. Which I've noticed that in Las Vegas lately. Any of you have been to Las Vegas lately? Have you noticed that there's a huge shift to making a lot of the new machines very nostalgic? Right? There's Buffy themed ones. There's The Hangover. There's what else was there? There's a National Lampoon's one. There's a Britney Spears one, a Mariah Carey one, a Lord of the Rings one, a Game of Thrones one. I mean, you name it, and they're all over the nostalgia. And I was thinking, well, I got to give Vegas a lot of credit for coming up with some creative ways to get people to part with their money, because what happens is somebody like myself who goes around, sees Buffy, gets emotional, and says, "Oh my gosh, Buffy, it must be a sign." I go over there and immediately invest my money into the machine, which the machine promptly gobbles up and does not give me any sort of return. Now, that's beside the point. So, but here's what happened with that. So I put my money in the machine. Buffy takes all my money. No hard feelings because it's Buffy, and Buffy can really do no wrong in my eyes. But what happened was, as I was sitting at the machine and it was flashing nostalgic clips to get you to stay around and keep you playing, there was clips from a few episodes of Buffy that I hadn't seen for a long time, but I instantly remembered them. And I remembered them because they were so heartfelt and sentimental, and they carried with them such a wonderful message that it stuck with me, and it stuck with me over the years. And I wanted to share that one of those messages with you today, which is what leads me to the whole title of this, about what Buffy the Vampire Slayer can teach us about life purpose. In season 3, oh good, I'm glad there's some Buffy fans on here. And so to give you just a little Buffy context here, for those of you who aren't Buffy fans, Buffy was the main heroine of this show, and she was a vampire slayer. So she'd go and, as the name implies, take care of the vampires, and she had these powers. And her love interest in the first several seasons of the show, really, I think throughout the whole show, but he was moved off into his other show. But I think they would have crossovers, and I think she was always in love with him, and him with her was this guy named Angel. And wouldn't you know it, that Angel happens to be a vampire. But the caveat is that Angel had somehow gotten his soul back from a gypsy curse. And because of that, it didn't make him a dangerous vampire when he had his soul. It made him and Buffy love interests. And in season 3, this was a clip that reminded me of in the Salt Machine. In season 3, there's this evil that's been resurrected in the fictional town of Sunnydale where they all live. And the evil is trying to influence Angel to kill Buffy. It's trying to manipulate him and use the past horrible things that he had done when he was an evil vampire. Buffy has some interesting storylines, so bear with me here. To its advantage as leverage to get Angel to kill Buffy. And Angel's resistant. He loves Buffy. He doesn't want to, but he becomes fearful that he's going to end up giving into temptation, and that he will act on that. Now, here's a little side story of this. In Buffy and Angel's love saga, Angel has a soul, but the condition was of him having a soul. The curse is that if he ever had a moment of true happiness, then he would have his soul taken away. He'd resort back to being an evil vampire. Well, wouldn't you know it, that the one thing that makes Angel truly happy is when him and Buffy do, you know what, the boom boom. And that just happened to happen one time, and then Angel ended up being an evil bad guy, and Buffy had to kill him. Thankfully, Angel came back. So that's beside the point. But anyways, I just want you to know that. So Angel desperately wants to be with Buffy. Buffy desperately wants to be with Angel. But Angel has this temptation from this evil side that's trying to pull him in this direction of influencing him to kill Buffy. And he doesn't want to do it because he loves Buffy. But he's fearful that he may one day give in, and that him and Buffy may have this weekend moment where they come together again because they love each other. And then in turn, he reverts back to his evil ways. So to keep that from happening, Angel decides to end his own life. And now vampires, any of you who are familiar with vampire genres, typically they have some weaknesses where a stake to the heart will kill them, or direct sunlight. Although the Twilight franchise horribly butchered that because those little sparkly guys could go out into the sunlight and then they would just glitter and glow. We call those fake vampires. In real vampire land, they go out into the sunlight and then they end up combusting and turning into dust. And so Angel has this idea that he's going to go up onto the top of the hill, and the sun's going to come up and it's going to turn him into dust. And then by doing so, he'll protect Buffy, and he'll protect Buffy from himself. Now, he doesn't want to do this because he loves her. She doesn't want to do this because she loves him, but he feels it's the only way. So here's Angel up on this precipice, and it's getting ready to be sunrise, and Buffy finds him, and she begins pleading with him, telling him not to end his life, begging him not to. And Angel said he has to because he's weak, and he's afraid he's going to hurt her. And they go back and forth about how she loves him, and that he thinks that he doesn't have a place in the world, and that he's never going to be more than just a vampire, more than a demon. And that the world doesn't want him. And Buffy pleads with him and says, well, what about me? What about what I want? Angel, I love you. I want to be with you. And he says, well, I'm too weak. I need to go. And she says, no, you're not. You're so strong. You can do so much good. You have so much potential inside of you. You have so much power inside of you. If you just realize that, you would realize how ridiculous this was to end your life. And Angel becomes adamant, and he says, no, I have to, Buffy. It's the only way I can make sure you're safe. And Buffy pleads with them, and they're both at this moment crying. And Buffy looks at him and says, if I can't convince you, Angel, if I can't convince you that you're worth saving, I don't know what is, but you have a purpose. You have a reason for being here. And then, and now keep in mind, Buffy's this mystical thing. This is set around Christmas time. As she's saying that, wouldn't you know it, but the snow starts to fall. And the two of them stop talking. They look around. The snow begins to fall, and the dialogue ceases for the rest of the episode. And there's snow falling, and the only dialogue there is this newscaster coming on, the weather reporter, talking about how this mysterious cold front has moved in over the town of Sunnydale, and it's completely obstructed the sun. And they go on saying there will be no sunrise today. You won't be seeing the sun today, with the highs expecting in the low 30s. Meanwhile, the rest of Southern California is going to be balmy in the 80s. So here's Buffy saying, if I can't convince you, I don't know what will, to see that you have a purpose, a reason for being here. And then this mystical thing happens, as if confirming what Buffy's saying all along, is that Angel has a greater purpose and that he can't go, he needs to stay. It's a beautiful, beautiful scene to watch. I think it's extremely well done. And if you're a fan of the episode, it's probably one of the scenes that really pulls at your heartstrings. I know it definitely does for me. But where does it tie into the bigger picture for all of us? I think each and every one of us in our life have these feelings of being Angel at some point, where we feel conflicted. We feel conflicted that there's something more we could do, but that we have something else pulling us in a different direction. It's like the angel and the devil on our shoulder, and the devil's always trying to talk us into temptation, distracting us, pushing us on the wrong path, getting us to invest our time, energy, and effort in the things that are not the most fruitful for us. And then meanwhile, we have this other voice inside of us. Maybe it's our own Buffy telling us that there's something more for us, so that there's some greater good, that we're capable of so much more. But we're often so influenced and swayed by the other voice that we don't listen to Buffy. We don't listen to our own Buffy, our internal Buffy. And if we could all just find it within ourselves to do that. Now, if we're unwilling to listen to our own internal Buffy, which sometimes we are, what we can do then is look externally. Because each and every one of us is going to have had a moment at some point in our life where literally the proverbial clouds came in and snow fell and blocked the sun from coming up. And now it's ironic that we use the sunrise as a metaphor here, and for it being a kind of a bad thing, because it would have ended Angel's life. But stopping that, preventing that from happening, actually was able to be confirmation for Angel realizing that he had a purpose. See, each and every one of us has had some sort of extraordinary event happen in our life. Now, it may not have been as overtly extraordinary as it going from 80 degrees outside to the sun, the snowstorm moving in and making the sun disappear and blocking out the sun. But it may have been something along those lines, in the sense of a moment in time where you're walking around, there was this unmistakable knowing that you were here for something more. There could have been a moment where you were talking with someone and you had something on your mind and something on your heart that you wanted to do, that you thought about doing, and you hadn't taken action yet. And then somebody said or suggested something that was confirmation for you to do that. There could have been a moment in time where you felt compelled to reach out to someone for support, for encouragement, to help you level up. And then whatever happened, something appeared from them, a message, a post, or whatever it is. There could have been a moment in time where you were at a crossroads in life, a crossroads in your relationship, a crossroads in your career. You could have been at a point where you were doing well in a career, but you were unfulfilled in it. And you had this feeling inside that you're meant for something more. And there might have been a thought that popped up in your head that in that moment you thought, that seems just a little nuts. Yeah, maybe I'll put that away. And then you kept on the path you'd always been on. But what if that moment was your snowstorm? What if that moment was your snowstorm blocking away the sunrise? What if that moment was your angel moment? What if that moment was Buffy the Vampire Slayer whispering in your ear? Now, you don't have you can like the Buffy analogy, you can like the Buffy metaphor, or you can take it or leave it, as they say. But I really encourage you to look at this in context for your greater life as a whole, because I sincerely believe with all my heart that each and every one of us has a purpose. Our purpose is either something that we're acutely aware of, or it's something that we're decided on. Purpose is often found in two places. It's found in the sources of our greatest pleasure, and it's often found in the sources of our greatest pain. Sometimes it takes some digging to get there. Sometimes we have to wade through the temptation of this other side pulling us one way. But if we're strong enough to do that, and we're strong enough to focus in on and take action towards it, we can see it happen. We're not always going to have the snowstorm come in and be so obvious and say, hey, ta-da, you're here for something more. But each and every one of us have some sort of guiding voice, some sort of guidance inside of our hearts that will lead us in that direction. So how do you become aware of purpose? How can you tune into it when you don't have a Buffy, you don't have a snowstorm pointing it right in your face? You got to get really good at listening. You got to get really good at listening to your own heart, and you got to get really good at trusting your own gut. And then you need to get really, really good at reaching out to the people who you believe can help you make it happen, can help you materialize it, can help you uncover and explore it. And when you put these elements together, that's often where not only purpose exists and purpose thrives, but how you can really bring purpose into fruition. Each and every one of you on here has a purpose. And whether you're living it right now, you're in the exploratory stage of it, or you're in that I have no fucking clue what it is space, what matters is just to acknowledge that you have one. It's there inside of you somewhere. And if you start looking for and listening for the signs, I promise you that you will tap into it and you discover it. And maybe something so unexpected or out of the, kind of abnormal, but that's okay. It may be something that just seems completely contradictory to what your life journey has been up to that point. You may have spent your whole life preparing to be a chef, but then your purpose is to be an astronaut. Who knows? It could be. I've worked with plenty of people over the years where it's literally been to those extremes, not necessarily going from chef to astronaut, but you're literally from those extremes. There is a purpose. And what I believe is going back and bring this full circle with the Buffy and Angel metaphor. Buffy and Angel were these strong warriors that were there to help protect humanity against evil. What I believe is that each and every one of us has a purpose, and that we're at our strongest when we're living our purpose. And it's when we're at our strongest and we're at our best that we can make the biggest and most positive impact in the world as a whole. I think much of the struggle within the world that we see or we perceive comes from so many of us struggling to find our place, and so many of us struggling to find our purpose. And I often find myself wondering, what would the world be like if each and every one of us lived our lives at an extraordinary level? What would the world be like if each and every one of us had our purpose? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series ended with Buffy, being able to do some sort of mystical spell with the help of Willow, who turned out to be a witch, her best friend. And what it did was it empowered each and every female around the world who all had the potential, because up until that point, the lore had been there could be only one vampire slayer that had the power. But it empowered each and every one of those females with the potential to have the power of the Slayer. And I thought that was such a beautiful ending to the show, because each and every one of us has that potential inside of us. Each and every one of us has a purpose. And here we are coming to the end of 2018, looking into the face of 2019. This is really when we start to think about making decisions, life directions, all those types of things. If you're not living your purpose yet, maybe it's time to start exploring it. And if you are living your purpose, it's time to start really enhancing it, taking that next level. So I hope this story has been helpful to you all. I appreciate each and every one of you sticking with me on it. And I appreciate you all being here. I got really excited to share this story about Buffy. And it's, if you haven't seen the show, it's a great show. It really is a great show. Some of it still holds up today. The special effects are a little cheesy compared to what we get today, but the the heart of it is fantastic. So I'll be back here again tomorrow, right around this time with another, what are we calling these? Carpe Diem moments, Carpe Diem insights. We need to come up with a name, so put your suggestions on there. Any questions you have about this, feel free to message me. I'll put them in the comments here, and I will circle back around. If you want to explore the idea of purpose a little bit more, be sure to send me a message. I'd love to talk with you about that. And until next time, wherever you are in the world, whether it is morning, noon, or night, sending you lots of love, happiness, energy, and be sure to look within, find your inner Buffy, find your inner angel, and start living out your purpose, because life is too short to live it any other way. We'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Bye-bye.